Hey, soul warriors, ever felt stuck on your spiritual journey and in search of answers? Well, you're not alone. Today, we're answering your burning questions to support you in shifting your perspective and jumping into a frequency shift that steps you out of questioning and further into your power. So stay tuned as we discover the answers that could be the gateway that you've been looking for. This is the one that leads to unlimited possibilities for you. So we've been super honored lately to get so many amazing, deep questions and just absolutely thrilled with how much you've been willing to share of yourself and trust us in giving answers. And it's just such short little snippets that we can do in responding by words. So we really wanted to pick like 3 of the most recent comments that we received and do them more in depth here. So if you ever have any questions, please keep putting them below in the comments, and we will get to every single one of them and feature some of them like this.
Yeah. Sounds good to me. Let's do this.
All right. Let's just jump right into the first question then. The first one came after watching our integration video, and there was a practice at the end of the video, and what came up for this person was pain and confusion around her daily spiritual practice since leaving conservative Christianity. I can relate to this. She said she missed the feeling that she had when she talked to a very defined God. And now it's very confusing and sometimes triggering. She does breath work and meditation, but it doesn't have the same effect as prayer.
Okay. Well, the first thing that comes to mind for me is that there seems to be some level of absence in the praying. And with meditation is more about you going within and really connecting to that God self of you. And with prayer is like having a conversation with your God. And in meditation, you can do exactly the same way, exactly the same thing, just out in nature. Because, I mean, after all, God did build nature and this world and all of us and all those things. So it's like, think about it as connecting with yourself and praying and meditating with your God self.
It's funny because I'm pretty sure I'd have to go back and look, but that this same person had made a comment right after this saying they had pulled a card and it was about going out in nature. And she was picturing that, which reminded me of my brother. When we were little, we were going to the Catholic Church and he kept saying, but Mother Nature is my God. And he just wanted to be out in nature all the time. And I don't know why that stuck with me all of these years. But so for me, I had a big pushback when I first left the whole Catholic scene. And so the whole recovering Catholic thing came in. And then I went into the spirituality. And it took me a bit until I realized I could be spiritual and I can still believe in God and I could believe in all other gods. So I'm not sure if it would be helpful for you to either define what God is to you. And I know that can be triggering and difficult because I went to several different churches and some taught me about the angry God and I should be afraid of him. So I had to fall in line and do all the things. And one taught me about, God was just wanted you to be happy and was kind of a joyful God. And I had another one that God was just peace and you just felt that stillness and silence. Now I get that peace from meditation. Meditation's where you're settling everything down so that you can hear better. You can connect with yourself, with your God better. Breath work is awesome to do when you feel triggered. So please still pray, and please still pray to whatever God means to you, not what you were taught at the church that you used to go to. You can redefine that. As soon as the trigger comes up, breath work is a great thing, although it might help it come up more, but at least it moves it through. Or meditation to follow up with that is also a beautiful thing because it'll help just your whole system settle down. Also, I don't know if you've looked into nervous system regulation. This was a big help for me in a lot of different aspects when I become triggered because my nervous system is like kind of flared up and saying, I'm not safe, I'm not okay. So that really just helps me kind of settle back down. I mean, there's so many different things. You can walk, you can dance. Breath work, again, is another regulation mechanism. But really looking into that. And my last thought on it is I also explored looking at other gods and goddesses and other types of spirituality like Buddha. And I sat with those gods and I prayed to those gods. So when I was doing a lot of healing work, like for instance, I was tapped into like the Green Terra and the and Kuan Yin, and because they just embody different feelings that I needed to embody within me. So if that feels right for you, or exactly like you said, if you can see the God in you, your God self, your higher self, whatever you want to call it, pray to that. Pray to all that is.
Right, because I mean, in the Bible, if I'm not mistaken, it says God created us in His image. Mm-hmm. So that means there is a piece of Him within us, and we are that. So, in a sense, it's hard to describe, as far as when you jump from Catholicism to spirituality. And in truth, it's the same thing, mm-hmm. because we are all doing or trying to achieve the same goal. And that's inner peace, a balance that we're looking for within ourselves, trying to shift things in our lives. And prayer and meditation, breath work, and all those things are a conduit to that, if you will. One of the things like with people who like to say the rosary beads, if you use the mala beads, it's kind of in the same frame.
Right.
Same. It's just very repetitive. So you can find different ways to connect with your God self without feeling that disconnect, and still have that conversation like you're used to with prayer. Have that conversation with God and your God self. And the only thing is that a lot of us miss is that we don't stop enough to listen. And listening, I mean by either hearing what the answers might be, or the direction, or seeing it, feeling it, things like that. Because there's different ways in which the universe, God, goddesses communicate with us.
Mm-hmm. So. That leads right into the second question, actually. So final thoughts on that. Define what God feels like for you, and please keep praying. Keep on doing that. Mm-hmm. And take care of yourself when the triggers pop up. Absolutely. So hope that was helpful. So the second question is, my frustration is that I'm trying to connect to my higher self, but I'm not succeeding. My spirit guides seem to be useless. Any suggestions? This actually made me laugh, and I'm not making fun of the question, but I've been there where I felt like, what's the use of all this? Because I'm talking, I'm doing the things, and they're not responding me, like they're icing me out type of feeling. With this, I found after years of practice that it was me getting in my own way, that my guides are always there. My higher self is always there. It was my expectation. I was usually going into it when I needed an answer on something, or I wanted a direction on something because I was feeling stuck within myself. So it was loaded with expectation. And I really wanted them to quite literally speak to me, like I'm speaking to you or you. And it especially doesn't work that way in the beginning, or sometimes not at all. Like you said, it's a feeling. It's a song that comes on. It's a coincidental thing that suddenly happens. So really stepping out of my own way and leaning more into the trust and the faith of it all was huge. Like, I think that's what it was trying to teach me, like right. Going into it with expectation instead of like, asking, opening up the channel of energy to come however it has to come, and then continuing to go about my day to leave space for them to communicate however it works best. And just knowing sometimes I'm missing it.
Right. Can you repeat the
so,
question?
Trying to connect with my higher self, but not succeeding. And my spirit guides seem to be useless. Any suggestions?
My first thing is you are always connected to your higher self because it's part of you, mm-hmm. Period. You're never disconnected from your higher self. You might feel like you're disconnected because your higher self is in motion and you've decided that you're not going to be in motion. So there's that disconnect. Your guides, what was it? The guides what?
Are useless.
Are useless.
Any suggestions?
They're not useless. They like riddles. They like, I feel like they like to play with us a little bit because we're so hard-headed a lot of the times with the ways things are. But they're always there. They have absolutely no ability to interfere in your life. They could only suggest. They could only impress upon you things. But if you're not hearing it or seeing it, feeling it, or any of those things, then it's hard for them to make themselves known. My suggestion to you is to be completely open to a conversation with your guides. Take that peaceful moment after you've had the conversation, you've said what you needed to say, and then just be still for a good long while. Be still with them, and you'll see that the answers will come.
Right. Because a lot of time our timeline isn't theirs. Like maybe this is the point where you're supposed to be learning trust. Maybe this is the point where you're supposed to be practicing inspired action. All these different things could be at play. So they're waiting until they hear you and they see your frustration, but they also, a lot of times they just imprint you with new energetic codes that better align you with your higher self. So it might not be like, I always wanted like this grand gesture of them to appear before me, but a lot of times it's just a really subtle thing. Like your guides hear you and they're like, okay, they need more confidence. They need more, faith in the direction they're supposed to be walking, or they need to be anchored more deeply into their passion because they've gotten off the track a little bit, and they'll shoot the energy down to you and it encodes into your being. But then it takes a while for you to sift through the kind of muck of yourself, of your own energetic misalignment, to actually activate that code. So if you go into more of a trust state, like, okay, they gave me exactly what I needed, even if I don't hear it, see it, feel it, touch it, smell it, etc. If it's not accessible to my five senses, I know they're always around me. It's in me. So I'm going to proceed from that point. And that's also you proceeding from your higher self.
And I'm wondering if you're open to actually feeling them, seeing them. They're massive beings. Mm-hmm. You have to, literally, it can scare the shit out of you if you're not ready to hear them, see them, feel them.
Right.
Because they're such massive beings. I mean, like quadruple an energetic feeling, if not more. And that's what they feel like. So maybe you're not ready, to actually feel them, see them, hear them, and things like that. So ask yourself that question. Because, I remember the first time, these massive beings presented themselves to me. I couldn't move. I couldn't speak. Mm-hmm. All I did was cry. I mean, I was just like a small child in the fetal position because I had been requesting answers. And they're like, okay, here we come. And that's in which it was the most beautiful thing I ever experienced in my life. Hands down. But it was clear that my physical body wasn't ready for it. Yep. And they did it anyway because I kept asking. So really, really think about what it is that you're asking for.
Right.
That is what I'm saying.
Yeah, I did an exercise once where they walked us through all these different energy shifts, and then you were supposed to step further into your higher self. And being the overachiever, I'm like, I'm going to step all the way in. And it was just like this split second thing that, yeah, I can do this. I'm a badass. And I stepped in, and then I passed out flat on the ground, hit my head on a rock. Like it was all this stuff. And they're like, oh, here's your big moment. It was kind of crazy, Woo-hoo! Right? Or the first time that an archangel appeared to me. It's overwhelming because you've never felt this level of, the words aren't even good enough, love, peace. No. It's not even good enough. It's so overwhelming because we are so far from that being here. Yeah, I can't even explain it. So yeah, they give it to us in small.
Yeah, there aren't enough words. There aren't enough colors, images to describe what it feels like. And if you ever get the chance to experience something like that, know one thing: that's you. That's a part of you that's active, alive, willing to be present in your life 100%. But it takes a whole lot of to really carry that with you all the time. I mean, when I fully embody my energy, I don't do it all the time because it scares the fuck out of people. You know, they may not know what is happening, but I get this like all of a sudden they're pumping the brakes as they're coming next to me, like something hits them, because I know how massive my energy can be. I have to take my energy really, really down when I'm around kids, because they know, they can feel it, they can see it. Animals, the same. I have to scale it down a little bit just so that I can be in the same frequency, doesn't scare them or anything like that. But if I was to be in that very powerful energy that I have all the time, it would be a little bit challenging. So I'm always tweaking it depending on where I am. So
I want to give you a quick message before we get back to this episode. Unlock the secrets of your soul for free with Soul Notes. Say goodbye to feeling stuck and hello to the validation of your alignment. These weekly prompts are filled with reminders, gentle nudges, and sometimes a kick in the ass, all with love from your soul. Don't just take our word for it. Try Soul Notes for yourself and see the difference it can make in your life. Trust us, your soul and you will thank you. Just go to soulnote.org. That's SOULNOTE.org. Now back to our podcast. And the biggest gateway tool I would suggest you to lean into, besides trust and faith, is using your imagination. Imagination is the gateway to this, because sometimes it might feel like I just made that up or whatever. But if you're just sitting and you're having a conversation, like I do this a lot in the car, where I'm pretending like higher self, spirit guide, whatever, is sitting in the seat next to me, and I'm driving and I'm just talking out loud, and I'm not physically hearing, but I'm playing a whole conversation out using my imagination on what I get. And usually with that back and forth talking, like I come up with an answer or a direction for myself by the end. And so you can call it, feels crazy sometimes, feels like it's a stretch, but I mean, if you believe it, that's what's really happening. So use your imagination to tap into that and have those conversations and really be open to the answer.
Right. And trusting yourself is a big one here, because when you're in the middle of something like that and you're not trusting what you're hearing, what you're feeling, what you're hearing, any of that stuff, it becomes a bit of a snag. So trusting in it. Listen, if we are consistently asking for something and all of a sudden it pops up and you're like, whoa, what the hell is that? Please keep in mind that you've been asking for it. So most of the time they're going to be like, okay, here you go.
Right.
You know, especially if whatever the situation in your life is demands a shift. They do an abrupt one when 100% needed. So yeah, that's interesting. But I mean, I keep thinking of all these different things that have gone on in my life, you know, when I went from one point to another, you know, from when I switched from Catholicism to just being a spiritual being to consistently being an open vessel for the energies, for spirit, for all these beings to be present in my life at all times, you know, and because it's been that for me from the gate. You know, I've told you guys that most of my life have been talking to the unseen and really ironing out my life without them interfering at the same time, because it's not within them to do that. They're
right.
just guides.
And if you're not seeing anything happen, it might just be, I mean, I'm hearing from my guides right now to say that whatever is happening is perfect for you in that moment. So if it feels like nothing's happening, the direction might be, okay, just enjoy this lull. Like, this isn't you being stuck. This is a lull for you to reset, for you to relax, for you to do some self care, for you to just trust, like whatever. Or something might happen, like I got an email the other day when I was asking for guidance, and I got an email that was unexpected that offered me something that wasn't even on my radar. And I was like, okay, here's an opportunity. Is it a yes or no? So then, I'm asking my guides again. A lot of times we'll give our power away to the guides or to the higher self, wanting them to make the decisions when we're the pilot. And that's like our, kind of like our GPS and our map, our old school map, that we have access to, but it's up to us to still make the decisions. So it might come in as nothing happening, and that's a response, or it might come in as something that you weren't expecting. That, okay, here's an opportunity, here's another thing. So different
Right.
ways that it can present.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, just in like sitting here listening to what Tara was saying, I myself, sometimes the way they communicate, or I know that they're present, I get really super hot.
Mm.
Like, I feel like the temperature in my body rises, and sometimes it goes really, really low, and I'm freezing at the same time. So just be aware, really, when you're sitting in your own presence and with your guides, be aware of feelings, because that's the biggest thing here,
Mm-hmm.
because there's a lot of energy in how we feel, and that is the closest vibration to them.
Yes.
So be more aware of that when it comes to like listening and really getting into the nitty gritty of it.
Mm. And we'll actually link the higher self video just in case you didn't see that. We have a little exercise in there where you connect with the higher self. So the 101 of it is, what do you want to feel? Who do you want to become? Who do you believe your higher self is? Like mine was like freedom and relaxed and stuff like that. And then you work on embodying those energies. And as you're doing that, you're connecting more and more with your higher self. So sometimes it's not just, again, like going to an advisor and a direct answer. It's you vibrationally matching your higher self. So it's in all the work you're doing, constantly redirecting yourself back to the vibration, the feelings that you want to have, acknowledging the ones that you don't, and learning from them if you can, clearing them or healing them if you can, and then reverting right back to most intention and attention is on those feelings that you want to have. And that's your higher self connection. All right. Last question. I am curious if meditation is your go to or another source that helps you respond versus react to a trigger.
I go to pause.
Mhm.
That's my go-to, because when I pause, I'm automatically saying, nope, I'm not going to react to a situation that I'm unfamiliar with. So, and then from there, I get curious. Why did I automatically get this energy thing? Or I felt like I needed to say this particular thing. So then I get curious from that. And then I just kind of pause again to see what truly comes up. Was it the comment? Was it the whatever somebody else was doing? Was it the situation? Or did something in me just get triggered and needs a little bit more addressing?
Right. And with my pause, um, if I can just pause and then respond, I do. And if not, I have two other go tos. Remove myself from the situation, which can be as simple as like, ooh, can you hold that thought? Like, I need to go to the bathroom. Or if you can communicate what's going on for you, like, oh, that just triggered me, and I'm not sure why. It doesn't have to be you triggered me or what you just said, like just a generic, like, oh, I just got triggered. That's interesting. And then it automatically shifts the other person in the situation into more of a compassionate, like, oh, you're triggered, like, because it puts them more in a wanting to help type of empathetic situation. And then it diffuses whatever energy there was there. If you're in a position where you can do that. If not, excuse yourself, because people understand having to go to the bathroom, or like, oh, hold on a second, I might sneeze. Like, whatever you need to do to just pause and shift. Moving your physical body is a great one too. Um, I don't know if you've ever noticed, but people have much better direction, much better conversations when they're like in a car and you're like on a long drive together. And it's because both of your energies are facing each other. And a lot of times when we're talking directly to each other like this, the energies are bouncing off of each other. So it's much easier to trigger. So even just like shifting your, just like you're just moving, because we constantly are in movement anyway, just moving slightly off to the side so you're not just face to face will automatically shift the energy. Another thing I do is telling myself in my head, I don't have to do this out loud. I'm safe right now. I'm okay right now. That's a trigger duly noted. After the fact, I celebrate the hell out of it. Even if I didn't catch it and I did react, I'm going to celebrate that like I noticed. I was 5, 10 seconds behind on catching myself, but at least I noticed. I noticed. So that's good. That's progress. And next time I can notice a little quicker because I'm going to try this instead. And keep instilling in yourself, I've got this. I can respond instead of react. I have tools to do this. It's constantly reprogramming um, what your mind thinks is the information because basically the subconscious is going to that reaction, and it's just it's totally a subconscious thing.
Yeah, yeah. I was thinking about the there's been a couple of times, I don't do this all the time. There's a couple of times where I was triggered. Clearly, I know myself, so I was clearly triggered, and the first thing I did was thank you. And they're like, "For what?"
Yeah.
And I said, "Because you just unlocked something in me that needed healing. Let me tell you what it is." And when I did that, I think I've done it maybe 3 times. When I did that, the person was like, first taken back, then it's like, oh, this is my opportunity to help. Everybody wants to help.
Yeah.
That's kind of like the unspoken rule around here. And so then you get into a whole different conversation. Could have been an argument becomes into a heart to heart conversation with someone. What could have been some other emotion becomes an energetic vibration that's so high that it absolutely transmutes whatever it is that was going on. So that's another way that you can do it. And to the question, meditation for me is when I've been triggered and I've done the pause and I've done the things, meditation then becomes the solution because where my answers are all going to be there. When I get still enough, process what just happened, that's what my answers are.
Right. You can definitely go into meditation based on healing around what you just experienced and just, allow that calm to come in. Breath work, too, again, helps regulate the nervous system. Nervous system regulation is huge.
Mm-hmm.
So even if you can just like do the pause with the person for a second and take slow, deep breaths, or while they're talking, if something's happening, you do slow, deep breaths to reset that nervous system, you have more of a chance of catching it. And also, it doesn't have to be to respond instead of react. It can be both. Everything is always and, it doesn't have to be or. So if you react, you can also respond. So react, then you caught yourself and you're like, crap, I just did it again. I got triggered, I reacted, and then just acknowledge it.
Right.
Dude, I just totally reacted. I am so sorry. That just unlocked something in me. Thank you. I apologize that you had to play witness with that, but I really appreciate like this whatever just happened.
Right.
You can do both.
Right. And if you're thinking that, if I'm just being myself and these things happen, you know, how is the other person going to take it? First of all, that's not your responsibility how the person takes it. They're going to take it the way they're going to take it.
Right.
So if you're like, doing the what was it that you were saying?
Responding.
The
Yeah.
no the nervous system regulation, and all of a sudden, because this is a thing to get you going, to balance your nervous system. You
Mm-hmm.
you do this, and they're having a conversation, and all of a sudden you start doing this. they're gonna pause.
It's going to diffuse their energy too. Yeah.
Exactly. They're gonna pause and they're gonna, what are you doing? And you're like, well, this conversation is kind of triggering me right now, and I'm trying to figure out trying to balance my nervous system so that I can really be aware of where it's coming from, what's happening, and all these things. Again, it changes up the vibration of a conversation that could have been an argument.
Mm-hmm.
So be you. Do whatever it is that makes you okay so that you can heal instantly instead of 3 or 4 months down the line, something else triggers you and you flip.
Yeah. Because maybe by doing that, first of all, you're mirroring to the other person very healthy tools, very healthy reactions, and creating a different type of conversation. So you can possibly feel supported, or the other person can be like, oh, I can do that too. Like, that's kind of weird, but it throws everything off. So it's really, really super powerful. I was going to say something else, and then I don't even know what was coming in right now. See if I can grab it back. Oh, I can't. Okay. Yeah. So what I'm hearing is that a lot of times a triggering situation is something where we're giving our power away. I know, like, 2 people I know that have this whole financial thing that happens, interaction, and one needs help from the other. But when the one that is helping helps, the other gets triggered because the power has been given away to the person that they need help from. So it's this whole loop of a dynamic. Like, I need you. Okay, here you go. F you. Because you just handed your power to that person. So it's taking your power back in a situation that, like, yeah, I'm asking for help and I feel supported, instead of I'm asking for help and I'm giving you my power. So notice if you've maybe given your power in that situation, or it's triggering some old situation when you did lose your power. And then remind yourself, nope, I'm in my power right now. I'm okay. I'm okay. I'm okay. All right. So thank you guys for being amazing. Thank you for sharing. We hope this helped. We will tag those of you that had these questions so that you're aware of this extended version.
Yes, absolutely. Be sure to like and subscribe. Be kind. Peace.